A question I often get asked about this car on the channel is it actually worth buying a 987? Is it worth the risk of bore scoring? Well, regular viewers of this channel will know that I actually bought this car not knowing it had bore scoring, later to find out that I was going to be facing a £10,000 bill. So has it actually affected how I feel towards the car? And would I recommend that you buy a 987 Cayman, or should you just avoid the 987 Generation 1 altogether? Overall, my experience of the rebuild has been really good. Apart from the cost of it, it was fairly straightforward to find a garage to complete the work and have the work done. The car's come back and it's perfectly fine. I often get comments about the 987 and people saying, that's it, I'm decided, I'm not buying the 3.4. And I think that's a bit of a shame really, because yeah, the 2.7 is a brilliant car, and by buying the 2.7 987 generation car, you're not necessarily going to struggle with the bore scoring. I don't think they've ever been affected. I think it's almost bulletproof, that engine. It's the 3.4 you've got to worry about. But it seems a shame that now people are watching my videos, they're seeing that the cost and the trials and tribulations that I've been through for this car has meant that people are deciding against buying the 987 3.4 litre, and it's a real big shame, because it's an absolutely amazing car. And I would say, despite all the expense and all the stress that this car has caused me, is 100% worth it. So do not be put off by watching my videos thinking, that's it, I'm not buying one of these, I'm not paying for that. Don't be put off. Please try one, take it out for a drive, and the most important thing you can do is do an inspection. If it comes back that it's not got bore scoring, what have you got to worry about? You've got a 3.4 litre engine, loads of power, and you get to enjoy it, and that's exactly what I do now. And it's absolutely fantastic. I am in love with the car. It's one of the best cars I've ever driven, and it's the best car I've ever owned, hands down. So if we're going to be speaking about reasons why this is worth buying, it's worth taking that chance, it's just the way this thing drives. There are no words to describe how well this thing will corner, how responsive it is, and how alive it feels on the road. I recently borrowed a 911, and I can honestly say there is no comparison. This thing outperforms it in the handling department and the fun department tenfold. It's incredible. The very second I sat back in my Cayman, felt the comfy sport seats that hugged me, and got hold of the steering wheel and took that very first bend out of the garage, I did not ever miss the 911. At no point after handing that car back did I miss it, because this is incredible. The handling and the way this car sits and handles on the road. Honestly, words do not describe how good these things are. Many of my viewers have Caymans, so you all understand what I'm raving on about. But if you haven't and you're looking at buying one, honestly, please get out there and test drive some, because you will be absolutely blown away. But be prepared to have your wallet handy, because you're going to buy it. You're going to buy the first one you see. So yes, it is 100% worth taking the risk for the 3.4. Yes, there is a chance it'll have bore scoring, but again, those numbers are very, very small. I was extremely unlucky buying this one, and yeah, it's a shame. If you watch my early videos, it's actually quite amusing, because I'm driving the car and saying how I bought the 3.4 and the risk of bore scoring is pretty much zero, I'll be absolutely fine and all this, and it happened. It's unbelievable, but it did happen. And when I started the channel, that's not where I wanted this channel to go. I didn't want it to be focused on the bore scoring element of the car. But what I did want it to explain is how much it costs to run a Porsche. And I think, bore scoring aside, this just proves that they're very, very expensive to run. It's not just about the bore scoring, but these cars cost a lot of money. Click the link in the top of the screen now, and that will take you to a video where I spoke to another owner. He's got the Cayman 3.4S as well. No bore scoring. 80,000 miles or something, and it doesn't burn any oil. Fantastic car. Still cost him £4 grand in suspension parts though, so it does show that these things can cost an incredible amount of money. So to be put off by the fact that it may have bore scoring and may need 10 grand spending on it, I think is a mistake. Another reason that buying a 987 is a good idea is just this interior. Again, very similar to the outside, it's not a modern place to be. It doesn't look very modern, but it's extremely well made, better than anything else, anything Japanese. It's properly solid. I mean, like you see on CarWow, they give the center console a shake and literally nothing moves. Everything works in here. The seats are beautiful, the Napa leather, and just the quality of everything is super high quality. And for that price, 14 grand that I paid for this, it's unreal really. You'd think these seats would be worth a few thousand each, so you are getting a lot of car for the money. Yeah, the entertainment system is all out of date. It's got Bose sound system, sounds really nice. But yeah, it's a little bit out of date, but it's a lovely, lovely cabin to sit in and very, very classic. So if you're looking for a sports car that's got classic styling, this is what you want to be looking at. But yeah, it's definitely worth it. When you get behind the wheel of this, you realise that the bore scoring, although it's a worry in the back of your mind, providing you've got this car checked out, you're not going to be thinking about bore scoring. You're going to be listening to that engine sat there flying around some country roads, and honestly, it's the best feeling in the world. Another reason why buying a 987 Generation 1 Cayman is worth it is the way it looks. From a side profile, this thing looks incredible. I don't think there's a car that Porsche make today that looks as nice as this. That probably is quite controversial. There's probably lots of people shouting at me now saying the Cayman's ugly, but I remember when it came out in Top Gear and Jeremy Clarkson called it the Cockster and disregarded it as a thing and said that the back end was ugly and it was a horrible looking thing. But when you look at it in side profile, you tell me that's a bad looking car. There's nothing wrong with it. Look at it. These wide hips over the back. When you're driving along and you see these in the mirrors, there is very little on the road, I think, that looks as good as this. It doesn't look modern, I'm going to give you that. It doesn't look modern, but it looks very classic. And I think in the colour that I've got mine in, which is seal grey with the Carrera classic 19-inch wheels, I think it looks absolutely incredible. So, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why you would probably try and avoid the 987 Generation 1, and you probably go for the 2, but the cost of the Generation 2 is a lot higher. And if you look at them side by side, although the Generation 2 looks a lot newer, I don't think it's as good looking. It's very subtly different, but this, in my opinion, looks the best. It's got very, very classic lines, and for a 2006 car, I think it looks absolutely mega. I'm very, very proud to own it, and it's definitely one of those cars where you walk away and you have a look back at it in the car park, and I think if you do that to your car, you know you've bought the right one. So this was a very, very quick video on whether or not I think it's worth taking the risk of buying a 987 Cayman, and it doesn't take me much explaining because this car is worth every single penny of it. It's worth everything that you can spend on it because there's no car on the road that compares to this. When you factor in the price I paid for this, only 14 grand, you add on the £10,000 rebuild, it's 24 grand. You find me a better car than this, a car that looks better than this, that drives better than this, for 24 grand. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.